Welcome to this session on web crawling. So this is the outline. We'll be seeing about web crawling, then web crawler architecture, the distribution of this web crawler architecture as well as the DNS resolution. So let us see what is web crawling. Web crawling is the process by which we gather pages from the web to index them and support a search engine. So the main objective of having a web crawler is that the quick and efficient gathering of as many useful web pages as possible together with the link structure that interconnects them. So you can see that when we are considering a web page, there will be hyperlinks to other web pages as well. So we have to gather the web pages as well as its links to other web pages. So the main aim of web crawler is to collect the web pages. And this web crawler is sometimes referred to as a spider, and sometimes you can see that it is also called as a robot. Now let us see the basic crawler operation. So initially the crawler begins with one or more URLs that constitute a seed set. And then the crawler picks a URL from this seed set and fetches the web page at that URL. After fetching the web page will be given for parsing, and after parsing both the text and the links are extracted. The extracted text is fed to the text indexer, and the extracted links or URLs are then added to the URL frontier. URL frontier is implemented using the FIFO queues. It is first in, first out mechanism. Now you can see that the URL frontier consists of multiple URLs. Each of these URLs will be fetched, and after fetching the URLs, it will be deleted from the URL frontier, and this process will be repeating. The fetching of URLs from the URL frontier, then fetching the web page from that URL, and after that we have to give it for the parsing, and when it is parsed, its text as well as the links will be extracted, and text part will be given to the text indexer, and the URL will be given added to the URL frontier. So this process is going to repeat. So initially you can see that the URL frontier will be containing the seed set, and as pages are fetched, the URLs will be deleted from the URL frontier. And we can view this process as traversing a web graph. And you can see that since we are using the URL frontier, and this URL frontier is implemented using the first in first out mechanism, we can implement it using a breadth first search data structure, because you can see that when we are using the FIFO, we are going to use the breadth first searching. So in a web graph, you can see that each of these web pages are going to be represented as nodes, and the links from one web page to another, it will be represented using the edges. So when we are considering the basic crawler operation, it will be like, first of all, fetching one web page, and from that web page we are going to move to the next web page, and from that web page we'll be going to the next web page. So this is just like traversing a web graph. You can see that either the crawling can be continuous crawling. If it is continuous crawling, in that case, the URL which is fetched, it may be added back to the URL frontier for later fetching. But if it is non-continuous, once the URL is fetched from the URL frontier, it will be going through all these stages, and after going through all these stages, it will not be added back to the URL frontier. Only in the case of continuous crawling, we have to ensure that we will be including it again back to the URL frontier for future fetching. Now let us see the web crawler architecture. So this is the architecture. You can see that the Mercator crawler has formed the basis of a number of research and commercial crawlers. So here in this architecture, you can see that there are some modules available, like URL frontier is there, DNS module is there, fetch module, parse module. Then there is a content scene module, URL filter is there, and duplicate URL eliminator is there. So you can see that in the case of content scene module, there are some inputs from the document fingerprints, And in the case of URL filter, there are some inputs from as a robots templates. And in the case of duplicate URL eliminator, some URL set is given as the input. So initially, the URL frontier will contain the seed set. And URL frontier, it contains the URLs to be fetched in the current crawl. In the case of continuous crawling, a URL may have been fetched previously but is back in the frontier for refetching. So that is the URL frontier module. Then we have the DNS module. DNS module performs the DNS resolution. DNS stands for the domain name service. So it is the duty of this module to map the URL onto the IP address. So DNS resolution module will determine the web server from which to fetch the page specified by the URL. And then IP address will be identified and it will be given to the fetch module. Then fetch module will use the HTTP protocol to retrieve a web page at the specified URL, and it will be fetched and the web page will be stored in a temporary storage. And then this web page will be given to parsing. A parsing module will extract the text as well as the set of links from a fetched web page. And then you can see that the text part will be given to the indexer, and then the URLs will be given to these modules to decide whether it can be added back to the URL frontier. So these are the modules which we have discussed: the URL frontier, DNS resolution module, fetch module, parsing module, and we have the duplicate elimination module. This duplicate elimination module will decide whether we have to discard the corresponding URL. If it is a duplicate, if the URL is already there in the URL frontier, it will be discarded. And if it is a non-continuous crawling, in that case, if the URL is recently visited, in that case also it will be discarded. So the processing steps in crawling. So a crawler thread begins by taking a URL from the frontier. Fetch the web page at that URL, generally using the HTTP protocol. Next, the page is parsed and text as well as the links in it are extracted. We have seen that the text is passed on to the indexer, and link information including the anchor text, it is also passed on to the indexer for ranking purpose. Each extracted URL is tested to determine whether the link should be added to URL frontier. The first test is check if URL content is already seen. This is performed by the content seen module. Then ensure it passes the URL filter tests, such as whether we have to exclude the web pages from certain domain, or whether it satisfies the robots exclusion protocol, etc. Then check if it is already in the URL frontier, like we have to perform the duplicate URL elimination. So this is going to be done by the content scene module, URL filter module, and duplicate URL elimination module. Now let us see these test each one of these in turn. So first of all, we are going to see whether the URL content is already seen. It is going to be checked by the content scene module. So the thread is going to test whether a web page with the same content has already been seen at another URL. So you can see that in web there is so much of duplication. So this mechanism is used to avoid including the URLs of the web pages which are having the same content into the URL frontier. So here, if the web page fetched is already in the index, it will not be further processed. And how this is going to be done? How we are going to check whether two URLs web page contents are same or not? For that, we are going to use some fingerprint mechanism. Like we are going to use some fingerprints such as checksum. And these checksums or the fingerprints are placed in a store labeled the document FPs, or otherwise we can use shingles. For the time being, consider shingles also as a fingerprint itself. So you can see the content scene module, and you can see that the document fingerprints are given as input. When a URL is given to the content scene module, you can see that the corresponding web page checksum will be matched with the checksum which is already available. So if two are matching, it means that it is a duplication of the content. So in that case, that URL will not be, or the web page will not be further processed. So this is the use of the content scene module. Next, we have to perform the URL filtering. It is used to determine whether the extracted URL should be excluded from the frontier based on one of several tests. So what are the tests that we have to perform? Exclusion of certain domains is the first method. Then we are going to use robots exclusion protocol, that is another method, and we have to ensure that URLs are in the normalized format. Now, exclusion of certain domains. You can see that a crawler may seek to exclude certain domains, like for example, we are saying exclude all .com URLs. So in this case, the test would simply filter out the URL if it were from the .com domain. And sometimes you can see that the same methods can be used for including certain domains rather than excluding. Next is robots exclusion protocol. You can see that many hosts on the web place certain portions of their websites off limits to crawling. And this is done under a standard known as the robot exclusion protocol. And how this exclusion protocol is implemented? This is done by placing a file with the name robots.txt at the root of the URL hierarchy at the site. So we can see an example of robot.txt. This is an example robot.txt file. In this example, you can see that it specifies that no robot should visit any URL whose portion in the file hierarchy starts with /yoursite/tmp except for the robot called search engine. So if it is a search engine, then or it can access all the portions of the website. But if it is any other robot, in that case, the website is restricting the access to /yoursite/tmp folder. It is not possible to access /yoursite/tmp folder. All other portions can be accessed. So this is an example of the robot.txt file. So you can see that when we are using the robot.txt file, it should be fetched from a website to test whether the URL under consideration passes the robot restrictions. So if the URL under consideration is passing the robot restriction, then only we can access that URL. So every time going and fetching the robot.txt file, it is a difficult task. It is time consuming. So in order to overcome that, a cache can be used to obtain a recently fetched copy of the file for the host. You can see that when we are having a website, there is chances of locality because first of all, we will be fetching one web page, and from that web page, we will be having links to another web page. Most of the time you can see that these web pages are going to be coming under the same host. So filtering during the link extraction process will have high locality in the stream of host and high cache hit rates. So during the link extraction process, if you are performing this filtering, you can see that we are having high locality as well as there will be high cache hit rates. But there is a problem with this mechanism because we have to ensure that the politeness feature is satisfied. Now, what is meant by politeness feature? In the case of politeness feature, web servers have both implicit and explicit policies regulating the rate at which a crawler can visit them. So it is not possible to visit the same host frequently. We need to maintain some time gaps between successive visits. If we are trying to fetch the web pages from the same host, you can see that the politeness expectations may be violated, which is not acceptable. Another thing that we have to consider is you can see that a URL may be in the frontier for days or even weeks. For example, if the URL is referring to a low quality or a rarely changing document, in that case, it will be remaining the URL frontier for days or even weeks. So if we were to perform the robot filtering before adding such a URL to the frontier, its robots.txt file could have changed by the time the URL is dequeued from the frontier and fetched. So in order to overcome that, we have to perform robots filtering immediately before attempting to fetch a web page. So if you are performing robots filtering just before attempting to fetch a web page, in that case, you can see that we'll be having an updated copy of the robot.txt file, as well as we can ensure that the URL which we are trying to dequeue, it is satisfying the latest copy of the robot.txt file. So as it turns out, maintaining a cache of robots.txt file is still highly effective. And you can see that there is sufficient locality even in the stream of URLs dequeued from the URL frontier, and hence caching is effective. So that is about the robots exclusion protocol. So in the case of robots exclusion protocol, we have seen that some want to restrict access to some web pages which is available in that website. So that is done with the help of a robot.txt file. This robot.txt file will specify which all portions can be accessed by which all robots. And every time when we are fetching a URL, we have to ensure that that URL can be accessed by the corresponding robot. That URL can be accessed for web crawling, and this is done with the help of the robot.txt file. And for speeding up the process, a cache can be used, and we have seen the advantages and some problems that we may face while we are using the cache. Next one is URL normalization. So URL normalization is the process by which URLs are modified and standardized in a consistent manner. So it will be possible to determine if two syntactically different URLs are equivalent if you are using the URL normalization. Let us see an example here. So we have en.wikipedia.org/wiki/main page. So from this web page, we are having a hyperlink to /wiki/wikipedia colon general disclaimer. And you can see that this is a relative address which is used here. But we have to ensure that we are using the absolute address. If you are having the absolute address, then only it will be possible to identify if two syntactically different URLs are equivalent. So this is the URL normalization. So these are the filterings that our URL should undergo. Last one is URL duplicate elimination. So if the URL is already in the frontier, or in the case of a non-continuous scroll, if it is already scrolled, we are not going to add it to the frontier. And when the URL is added to the frontier, it is assigned a priority based on which it is eventually removed from the frontier for fetch. So these are the main tests that the URL should undergo. This is the basic web crawler architecture. Now let us move to the distributed crawler architecture. When we discussed about the basic crawler architecture, we have considered that multiple threads will be run using a single process. So the crawler could run under single process, or otherwise it can be run using different processes, and each of these processes will be available in different node of a distributed crawling system. So threads in a crawler could run under different processes, each at a different node of a distributed crawling system. And this distribution is essential for scaling. It can also be of use in geographically distributed crawler system, where each node crawls host near it. Partitioning the host being crawled among the crawler nodes can be done by a hash function or by some more specifically tailored policy. For instance, we may locate a crawler node in Europe to focus on European domains, although this is not dependable for several reasons, like the routes that packet takes through the internet do not always reflect geographic proximity. And you can see that in any case, the domain of a host does not always reflect its physical location. So it is not possible to partition it based on the geographical location. Now, how do the various nodes of a distributed crawler communicate and share the URLs? So here you can see that the basic idea is to replicate the flow of a basic crawler architecture at each node, but there is an essential difference. So we'll see this architecture. So here you can see that the URL frontier, DNS module, fetch module, parse module, content scene module, URL filter, and duplicate URL eliminator, all these are same, but you can see an additional module known as the host splitter here. So following the URL filter, we use a host splitter to dispatch each surviving URL to the crawler node that is responsible for that URL. Thus, the set of hosts being crawled is partitioned among the nodes. And here you can see that the output of the host splitter is going to the duplicate URL eliminator. And you can see that the input to the duplicate URL eliminator is coming from other nodes as well. So it is going to check whether this duplication is available in any of these nodes. If it is available in any of these nodes, in that case, it will not be added onto the URL frontier. So if the URL is already available in any of the nodes, it will not be added to this URL frontier and it will be eliminated. The major difference between our basic crawler architecture and distributed architecture is, here you can see that we have a host splitter module, and this host splitter module will be sending the URL to the host which is responsible for that URL. And again you can see that we have multiple inputs to the duplicate URL eliminator. So in distributed architecture, we have the content scene module. The content scene module in the distributed architecture is complicated by several factors. First one is that the document fingerprints or shingles cannot be partitioned based on the host name. Actually, there is nothing preventing the same or highly similar content from appearing on different web servers. So it is not possible to partition the fingerprints or shingles based on the host name. So how it can be partitioned is we have to use some property of the fingerprint or shingle. So for example, by taking the fingerprint modulo the number of nodes. The result of this locality mismatch is that most of the content scene tests will result in a remote procedure call. That is the first complication. And the next one is there is very little locality in the stream of document fingerprints or shingles. So you can see that since there is very little locality, the catching popular fingerprints, it will not help. And then you can see that documents, it change over time. And so in the context of continuous scrolling, we need to delete their outdated fingerprints or shingles from the content scene sets. And we have to save the fingerprint or shingle of the document in the URL frontier along with the URL itself. So these are the problems with the content scene module in the distributed architecture. So that is about the distributed crawler architecture. Now let us move on to the DNS resolution. We know that each web server has a unique IP address, and this IP address is a sequence of 4 bytes generally represented as 4 integers separated by dots. For example, you can see that 207.142.131.248. Now, what is this DNS resolution or DNS lookup? It is the process of translating a URL to its unique IP address. For example, if you are given a URL such as www.wikipedia.org in the textual form, translating it to the IP address, the IP address like 207.142.131.248. This is the process of DNS resolution or DNS lookup. Now DNS stands for the domain name service. Now how this DNS resolution or DNS lookup is done? During the DNS resolution, the program that wishes to perform this translation, here a component of a web crawler, contacts a DNS server that returns the translated IP address. That the entire translation may not occur at a single DNS server. So in that case, the DNS server contacted initially may be recursively calling upon other DNS servers to complete the translation. So it is not possible to complete the translation using a single DNS server. And suppose that if you are having a complex URL such as en.wikipedia.org/wiki/domain name system, the crawler component responsible for the DNS resolution will extract the host name. In this case, the host name will be en.wikipedia.org and then looks up the IP address for the host en.wikipedia.org. For more complex URLs, the crawler component responsible for the DNS resolution will extract the host name and then look up for the IP address for the host name. And now let us see why DNS resolution is a bottleneck in web crawling. Due to the distributed nature of the domain name service, the DNS resolution may entail multiple requests and round trips across the internet, requiring more time. So DNS lookup service provided by a distributed set of servers, and thus lookup latencies can be high, like it may take number of seconds. And the solution that we can use for this is that we can introduce DNS caching. So in the case of DNS caching, the URLs for which we have recently performed the DNS lookups are likely to be found in the DNS cache. So we need not go to the DNS servers on the internet. But here you can see that the need for politeness may limit the cache hit rate. So need for politeness means that we have to ensure there is some time gap between subsequent visit to the same host. So in that case, it may reduce the cache hit rate. Then there is another difficulty in the DNS resolution. You can see that the common OS implementations of DNS lookup are blocking. That is, only one outstanding request at a time is permitted. So this means that once a request is made to the domain name service, other crawler threads at the node are blocked until the first request is completed. To overcome this, most web crawlers implement their own DNS resolver as a component of the crawler. So thread I executing the resolver code sends a message to the DNS server and then performs a time wait. It resumes either when being signaled by another thread or when the set time quantum expires. A single separate DNS thread descends on the standard DNS port. Standard DNS port is port 53 for incoming response packets from the name service. Upon receiving a response, it signals the appropriate crawler thread. In this case, you can see that it will be thread I and hands it the response packet if I has not yet resumed because its time quantum has expired. A crawler thread that resumes because its wait time quantum has expired retries for a fixed number of attempts, sending out a new message to the DNS server and performing a time wait at each time. Designers of Mercator recommended of the order of 5 attempts. So that is the duty of the DNS resolver. So that is about the DNS resolution. So in this session, we have seen what is web crawling. Then we have seen the basic web crawler architecture. Then we have seen the distributed architecture. Then we have seen DNS resolution. So with this, we are winding up this session. Thank you.